Hello guys, have you ever wondered why Filipinos look different from other Asians? Well, in this video, I hope we're gonna have the answer because you guys send me this saying by a lot of you you will be curious about why, how come, or maybe you never ask yourself this question, but you're curious as well. Well, I am, because we have a lot of videos about Philippines and not only here on the channel. Make sure to browse that up. If it's your first time here, like the video, subscribe, of course. And let's see why there is, because if you think about it, there is a big difference. Not only that Filipinos are amazing people and an amazing country and beautiful, hearted people and everything, but there is a difference. Let's see why.
Why do Filipinos look so different from other Asians? Some of us look East Asian, some look Pacific Islander, some look Latino.
True.
Even within the same family, one sibling can look Korean while another looks Mexican. If you've ever wondered why Filipinos are the most visually diverse people in Asia, a recent genetic study finally gave us an answer. Scientists didn't just find mixing. They found one of the most complex genetic profiles ever recorded, shaped by ancient human species, island isolation, and migrations that happened over 50,000 years. This isn't about colonization myths. This is the science behind why Filipinos look the way we do. Let me start with the question every Filipino has heard. Where are you from? No. Where are you really from? Because when Filipinos travel, people can't figure us out. In Japan, they think we're Japanese. In Mexico, they think we're Mexican. In Hawaii, they think we're Hawaiian. We're ethnically unplaceable. And that's not an accident. That's genetics. And a 2026 study from the University of the Philippines and Stanford University helped map it all out. Here's what they found. Filipino DNA is a combination of at least 5 major ancestral groups: Austronesian, Denisovan, East Asian, Melanesian, and Negrito.
Holy crap, guys, this is amazing. This is amazing information. I have a video on the channel, which I'm going to leave at the end of the video. Make sure to check that out, because over there we dissected and saw that Filipino has Viking in their DNA. And yeah, I know how crazy that sounds, but trust me, seeing that video that I'm going to leave at the end of the video, it's going to make sense. Trust me. But here, it's even more. Got what, 5? Jesus.
But it's not just a simple mix. Filipinos carry genetic markers that don't appear in any other Asian population. Some Filipino populations show among the highest levels of Denisovan ancestry recorded in modern humans. Before we go deeper, our goal on this video is to get 500 likes. And share your thoughts in the comments.
Do as well, guys.
Subscribe to the channel. In parts of island Southeast Asia, including regions of the Philippines, Denisovan ancestry appears at notably high levels compared to most global populations. Denisovans were an ancient human species that went extinct around 50,000 years ago, but their DNA lives on in Filipinos. And that DNA affects how we look. Let me break this down step by step. First, Austronesian ancestry. About 5,000 years ago, Austronesian people migrated from Taiwan and southern China into the Philippines. These were seafaring people. They brought agriculture, pottery, and advanced boat-building technology. They settled across the islands and became the genetic foundation of most Filipinos today. If you have straight black hair, almond-shaped eyes, and a smaller nose bridge, that's your Austronesian ancestry showing. But the Philippines wasn't empty when the Austronesians arrived. There were already people here, the Negritos. These were among the first humans to leave Africa and settle in Southeast Asia over 50,000 years ago. Negritos have dark skin, curly hair, and broader facial features. Today, Negrito groups like the Ayeta, Ati, and Batak still live in parts of the Philippines. Genetic testing shows that almost all Filipinos carry some Negrito DNA. If you have curly hair, darker skin, or wider facial features, that's your Negrito ancestry. Then there's Denisovan DNA.
Let's see the features
This
here.
is where it gets wild. Denisovans were a mysterious ancient human species. They weren't Neanderthals. They weren't Homo sapiens. They were something else entirely. Scientists only discovered them in 2010 from a single finger bone found in a cave in Siberia.
Exactly. This is
But
when
when
we
they
covered in the
sequenced
other
the
documentary.
DNA, they found something shocking. Denisovan DNA is still present in modern humans. A 2021 study found that some Filipino groups show significantly higher Denisovan ancestry
Incredible.
than most
After
other
all those
populations.
thousands of years.
This is because Denisovans once lived in island Southeast Asia and interbred with early Homo sapiens who arrived in the Philippines. That DNA has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. Early research suggests Denisovan DNA may influence immune function, environmental adaptation, and possibly facial structure. Some scientists believe it contributes to the distinctive cheekbone structure and jawline seen in many Filipinos. Now add East Asian ancestry. Over thousands of years, Chinese, Taiwanese, and other East Asian groups migrated to or traded with the Philippines. Intermarriage followed. This introduced genes for lighter skin, epicanthic eye folds, and straighter hair. If you look more Chinito or Chinita, that's this ancestry showing. And it's why Filipinos are often mistaken for Chinese, Korean, or
And
Japanese.
this is really mind-blowing.
Then there's Melanesian and Pacific Islander ancestry. The Philippines sits near Melanesia and Polynesia, and ancient ocean migrations created genetic overlap. Some Filipinos, especially in southern regions like Mindanao and Palawan, carry Melanesian DNA.
Jesus, that's why
This
they
can
have
show up
curly
as
hair.
darker skin, broader noses, and curlier hair. It's also why some Filipinos resemble Hawaiians or Samoans. But wait, there's more. Spanish colonization lasted 333 years. During that time, intermarriage occurred. Spanish DNA entered the Filipino gene pool, which is why some Filipinos have lighter skin, colored eyes, wavy hair, or sharper noses. The term mestizo comes from this period, but genetic studies consistently show that European DNA makes up only a small portion of overall Filipino ancestry. Most Filipinos remain primarily Austronesian, Negrito, and East Asian. And then there's Chinese ancestry. For over 1,000 years, Chinese traders settled in the Philippines and married locals. Today, an estimated 20 to 30% of Filipinos have some Chinese ancestry.
And 30% is
That's why
a lot.
surnames like Tsai, Lim, Tan, Ko, and Ong are common. This ancestry further contributes to East Asian features. Now here's where it gets even more complex. The Philippines has over 7,000 islands. For thousands of years, many of these islands were isolated from one another. That isolation allowed different genetic profiles to develop. People from Luzon often have different markers than people from the Visayas or Mindanao. That's why a Bicolano can look different from an Ilocano, or a Cebuano from a Tausug.
Even if they are
Geography
so
itself
close.
shaped Filipino diversity. In the 2026 study, researchers analyzed DNA from over 10,000 Filipinos across all regions. They compared it with East Asian, Southeast Asian, Pacific Islander, and ancient human genomes. What they found was wide variation, with Austronesian ancestry forming the largest base, combined with East Asian, Negrito, Denisovan, and Pacific Islander influences. But that's just the average. Individual Filipinos vary wildly. Some are predominantly Austronesian. Others carry more East Asian or Negrito ancestry. That's why siblings can look completely different. They inherit different combinations of the same ancestral DNA. Same parents, different genetic lottery.
Wow.
The study also identified what scientists call ghost populations, ancient human groups that no longer exist but left their DNA in modern Philippines.
Okay, let's have a breath over here because this is a lot of information to take in. Thinking about how different, I mean, look, since I, discovered Philippines, honestly, I knew that exists the Philippines, yes, but I didn't know how beautiful it was, how amazing people were there, with a big heart. But thinking about the resilience, the voices, which are wow, and all the other stuff, which no country has. Now, after diving in with all this DNA thing, it makes more sense how Filipinos are so good in a lot of things. I don't know how it's for you, but for me, it's fascinating.
Filipinos. Beyond Denisovans, there's evidence of additional unknown groups that interbred with early Filipinos. We don't have fossils, we don't have names, but their DNA lives on. That's how genetically complex Filipinos are. So why does this matter? Because it explains everything. Why Filipinos don't fit neatly into Asian categories. Why we're mistaken for other ethnicities. Why Filipino beauty standards are so diverse. And why the question, "Where are you really from?" is so complicated. Genetically, Filipinos are from everywhere. We're the crossroads of Asia, shaped by migrations spanning over 50,000 years. And that's what makes Filipinos special. This genetic diversity is a strength. It makes us adaptable. It helps us thrive in different environments. It makes Filipino culture naturally inclusive. And it proves there's no single way to look Filipino. Moreno, mestizo, chinito. It's all Filipino. The DNA proves it. Now let's talk about how this shows up physically. The 2026 study also examined regional differences within the Philippines, and the results were striking. People from northern Luzon, especially Ilocanos and Ibanags, tend to show higher East Asian ancestry. This is likely due to geographic proximity to Taiwan
Because
and
they are
southern
next
China.
to Taiwan, yeah, okay.
That's why many Ilocanos have lighter skin and more Chinito features. People from the Visayas, especially Cebuanos and Warais, often show a more balanced mix of Austronesian and Negrito ancestry. That's why Visayan Filipinos are often described as having the classic Filipino look: medium skin tone, almond-shaped eyes, and black hair. People from Mindanao, especially indigenous groups like the Lumad, Tiboli, and Maguindanao, tend to show higher levels of Melanesian and Negrito ancestry. This often appears as darker skin, curlier hair, and broader facial features. Meanwhile, people from Palawan and the Sulu archipelago carry unique genetic markers suggesting ancient migrations from Borneo and Indonesia. That's why some Filipinos from these regions resemble Indonesians or Malaysians. The study also found something surprising. Manila and other major urban centers show the most genetically mixed profiles. For centuries, Manila was a crossroads.
Yeah, it was a crossroad. It was
Spanish colonizers, Chinese traders,
principal,
Japanese
point.
merchants, American soldiers, and Filipinos from across the islands all converged there. Intermarriage occurred at higher rates, so if you're from Manila, your DNA is often a blend of multiple regions and ancestries. That's urban genetics in action. Now let's address the big question: are Filipinos Asian? Genetically, yes, but not East Asian in the Chinese, Japanese, or Korean sense. Filipinos are island Southeast Asians with unique ancient human ancestry that makes us distinct. Some geneticists now describe Filipinos as a genetically distinct population within Asia, rather than fitting neatly into existing categories. Not simply Southeast Asian, not Pacific Islander, just Filipino. The study also explored health implications. Filipinos have higher genetic predispositions to conditions like diabetes and hypertension. At the same time, they show lower rates of certain cancers compared to some East Asian populations and different responses to medications. This is why medical researchers are now calling for Filipino-specific studies. Treating Filipinos as biologically identical to other Asian groups leads to gaps in healthcare. Another intriguing finding involved genes associated with language and musical processing. Researchers identified variants linked to auditory processing and language acquisition that appear at notable frequencies among Filipinos.
Because you guys speak amazing.
This may help
not only
explain
English,
why
a lot of
Filipinos are often
languages.
recognized for musical ability and language learning.
The thing that I was saying about
Culture
music,
plays a role,
race.
but genetics may contribute as well. The study also examined physical traits like height and build. Filipinos are shorter on average than Europeans, but taller than many Southeast Asian populations. This reflects Austronesian and Negrito ancestry. However, average Filipino height has increased across generations as nutrition improves and genetic potential is expressed more fully. Facial features tell a similar story. Filipino faces are incredibly diverse, but patterns exist. Many Filipinos have a mesocephalic skull shape, not as round as East Asians, not as narrow as Europeans. Prominent cheekbones are common, influenced by Austronesian and ancient ancestry. Noses tend to be wider than East Asian averages, but narrower than many Pacific Islander populations.
Man, this is true.
Hair texture ranges from straight to curly, reflecting multiple ancestral sources. Now let's address colorism. Filipino society has a long, complicated relationship with skin tone. Lighter skin was historically favored due to Spanish and American colonial influence. But genetics shows there is no hierarchy of authenticity. Moreno skin reflects Negrito and Austronesian ancestry. Mestizo features reflect European and East Asian ancestry. All are equally Filipino. The study emphasized this clearly. There is no single Filipino look. Diversity is the Filipino look.
Wow.
The researchers also studied Filipinos in the diaspora, in the US, Canada, Europe, and the Middle East. Even after generations abroad, Filipino genetic markers remain distinct. A third-generation Filipino abroad still shows the same deep genetic signature. It doesn't disappear. That's how ancient and resilient this genetic identity is. When compared to other mixed populations, like Latinos or African Americans, the difference becomes clear. Those populations are largely the result of mixing within the last 500 years. Filipino genetic mixing goes back tens of thousands of years. That makes Filipinos one of the oldest continuously mixed populations on Earth. So what does this mean for you? If you're Filipino, your DNA is a living record of human history. Every feature you have, your skin tone, hair texture, eye shape, nose, height, is the result of ancient migrations, survival, and adaptation. You're not just Filipino, you're a living archive of humanity. And if you've ever felt like you don't fit, too Asian for some, not Asian enough for others, now you know why. You don't fit simple categories, and that's not a flaw. That's what makes Filipinos exceptional. The study concluded with a clear recommendation: Filipino genetics should be studied separately, not lumped into broad Asian categories. Understanding this allows for better healthcare, better science, and deeper respect for Filipino identity. Here's the bottom line: Filipinos look different from other Asians because we are different. We carry DNA from multiple ancient populations, including extinct human species. We are among the most genetically diverse populations in Asia. Science is only now catching up to what Filipinos have always known. So the next time someone asks where you're really from, you can say this: I'm from 50,000 years of human migration.
Nice. Thanks to this channel, you can find the original link down below. For me, it was fascinating, mind-blowing. You know, that's why, at least for me, guys, I'm talking about me. There are other reactors out there that maybe have, I don't know, other opinions. That's fine. But for me, not only hearing Filipinos sing, watching the resilience, or how you live in the Philippines, or how are the Philippines, and so on, knowing more about this country and this history, that's why for me it's so fascinating. Because you're not watching only today, you're watching the history of the world, honestly. And that's why you guys Filipinos are so amazing. Full stop. Okay, hope you find this interesting. We have a lot more to come on the channel, trust me. And like I was saying, right now here at the end, I'm going to leave that video with the Viking DNA, which blew my head off. So make sure to click on this, like the video, subscribe on the channel. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. And like I always say, till next time, stay safe. Just wow, man.